What's up, everybody? My name is Piotr Siekierski and this is podcast Volley Time. Today I'm gonna talk with Mr. Mark Lebedew, the professor of volleyball, one of the most experienced guys in the business, the head coach of VfB Friedrichshafen. We're gonna talk about the motivation in sport. So how hard it is to maintain the motivation level during the whole season, how big role plays the coach in the process of motivation. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button so you won't miss any new episodes. Thank you.
In the second part, I would like to talk about motivation in sport.
All right.
Okay,
Yep.
So are you ready?
I'm not ready for this one.
I tried to be ready, but to be honest, it's a very broad topic. So so actually you can put everything on the motivation topic and it will be fine. But I have prepared myself as best I could.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Mr. Mark Lebedew is our guest still, and so he didn't run away. So the first thing about motivation is to define a motivation. And how would you define a motivation?
Motivation is the thing that makes you do something.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. Readiness to spend your energy for hard work despite tiredness, pain, and boredom. Is it fine?
I like mine better, but probably mine won't be in the dictionary.
Okay. So you're familiar with volleyball, almost 30 years, I think. So
Yes, thank you.
Sorry for that.
It's okay.
No, it means that you got a lot of experience. And I would like to ask you, how do you keep yourself motivated after all these years?
For my motivation, that one's easy. The thing that motivates me is just the game. So I want to be in the perfect game, and I want to create a perfect team. Those are the things that interest me.
So we know exactly that the times are pretty hard for everybody. I mean, the current times, pandemic, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that the pandemic affects everybody's mental resilience. And what is the role of the coach to handle it? So can you help players to stay focused on volleyball, even if outside the door there is a crazy pandemic?
Yeah, this is something like this happens in nearly every team. It's there are always some situations or some moments like this in the season. So it happens a lot with teams that don't get paid. For example, they have to manage some of these kinds of circumstances, and the thing that as a coach that you have to do in this moment is to keep reminding the players of the real reason why they are doing this. So the motivation part, everybody has their individual motivation for playing volleyball in this case, and for some people the motivation is to win. Some people want to be famous, some people want money, some people want attractive partner, some people just want to be with their friends, and some people, and a lot of people are looking for the next contract because that helps them with all of the other things. And as the coach, the thing that you can do, and it's sort of not difficult in a way, is to keep reminding the players of what their individual goals are. Because in the end, the best way to achieve your goal always is to play well. So if you are not getting paid, the best way to get paid is to play well. If you want more money for next contract, you should play well. If you are in the second six and you want to be in the first six, the solution is to play well. So those are the that's the work of the coach. And for example, I think one coach that did an amazing job this season in Plusliga was Bednarok in benching. So everybody knows that nobody was paid for the whole season, and he was telling stories at the end of the season about this. But they played hard until the end of the season. They were fighting. They kept playing every day, and it's not easy to keep a whole group of people going in that direction. So I think Kuba did a great job with that.
Yeah, I totally agree that Kuba Bednarok has done a tremendous job in benching, even if they just had points, I think, in the whole season. But I think that they want something different than points or matches. They were still in shape. They kept fighting against everybody. So I think it was the huge win of Coach Bednarok.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you think that is it hard to stay in a good shape through the pandemic? Some of the people can say that, okay, so everybody spends more time at home, so you can train at home. But how do players treat pandemic times? I mean, how do they train?
It's in the professional teams, we are really lucky because for us, more or less, life didn't change. So, okay, we have to wear a mask, and for Champions League they needed some tests, and okay, none of this stuff is fun, but for the most part, everybody got paid. We still played the games, and the medals are still at the end of the season. So for me, the situation is for professional players is actually really easy compared with a lot of let's just say people who have normal jobs, people who can't go to work, people who live in Oshedla. So I'm serious because I have in my house I have a garden. So when we have the full lockdown, it was spring. I sat in the garden and read a book, and so for me it was a wonderful holiday. But for most people, they have 2 rooms, they have no balcony, and So my answer to this is, it's difficult for the players in some way, but not compared with other people. And as people, we have to, as people first, we have to remember that.
Yeah, sure. So from my perspective, is I worked from home for 14 months, I think, and in my former flat, I had a 26 flat meters, so it was pretty hard to to survive. And so, Coach, I've read about motivation a bit, and I would like to divide motivation into intrinsic motivation and extrinsic. Yeah. So I've read one of your notes on your website, and you have written that for you as a coach, more important is intrinsic motivation. Can you explain why?
Intrinsic motivation is the motivation that comes from inside. So it's in my definition of motivation, it's the thing that makes you do something. And intrinsic is the thing inside you that makes you want to do something. So and like I said before, you want money or victories or whatever. These are the things that make you play. And it's much more important because really there is not many things that the coach can do from outside to make people motivated. So, or anybody. It's not only about coaches of volleyball teams. If people really don't want to do something, then you can't make them. You can fine them or punish them or something, but they will never be fully engaged in whatever the activity is. So one of the really key things in building a team, for example, is to find players who have the intrinsic motivation. And if they have that, then the coach can work really. And I've been asked this question a few times about. It came up sometimes with Hidalgo, for example, that Hidalgo is a crazy guy, and how can you control the crazy guy, and some other emotional guys, and I always answer this, that the emotional guys are easy to work with, because firstly they always say what they think, so you always know, and if they want to play, then you can always guide them somehow. The players that are the most difficult to work with are the ones who don't want to play, because you can never make them play. You can never do something. And when I write some things like that, I always get some answer from Bednaruk that it's easy. You just find them and they play. But
yeah,
you can do that, and they will be present at practice. Of course, it's true, but you will never get something really special, something really good from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as you said, that every player has a different source of motivation. Yeah, one of them will have a need of challenge, self-development, money. But how hard is to find a common denominator for the whole team? Is there a chance to get it, or?
There is a chance, of course. The reality is that everybody has the best chance to achieve their goal if the team wins. So this is the reality, because if you are the champion, then every player looks at the players every coach, every manager looks at the players who are in the champion team, because the ones who played are great players. The ones who didn't play, probably they helped, or they could be better players, but they are in such a great team. And this is the reality of it. The better the team plays, the better the results of the team, the better for every individual. But life is not as easy as this, and people also want to play, people also want this, people also want that, and it's not always easy, or sometimes it's not even possible to keep everybody going in this same way. The idea is to keep as many of them as possible, and sometimes hope that the other ones don't make too many problems.
Did you have in your whole career some difficult situations with the players that, for example, they came to you and they said, "Hey, coach, I think I played pretty well on training, but in a 10 games in a row, I wasn't on the court. So what the hell?"
Yes, every coach has this conversation every week.
Okay, so how can you avoid them?
Well, the only thing that you can do is to be honest with them if it comes to this conversation, because the reality normally is that they can have good practice, but if they don't play, it means they are not as good as the player that's playing, and people don't like to hear this. So it's a difficult moment, but and they don't believe it also. Often they believe that they are better than the one that's playing, but you have to explain this the best that you can, and still make the decision that's the best for the team.
I have a quote from one of your notes. The standard view of players and motivation is that players come to a team as a lump of clay and coaches add motivation as a part of the process until they reach their ultimate level.
Yeah.
Can you share some more details? What is behind these words?
What I'm trying to say there is that the normal way that we think about sport and coaches is that the players come to the team and then the coach motivates them. So the coach's job is the motivator of people who are neutral in some way. But the reality is that players come to the team already motivated.
Yeah.
And mostly the coach, the biggest change that the coach can make with motivation is to stop them being motivated.
Right. Isn't that good
Because
that the player come to the team and they are motivated? They are focused on the
yes, that's great. But there are things that the coach does that stops players being motivated. So if the coach is an asshole, if the coach has bad practice, if the coach has bad tactics, if the coach is not fair, all of these things, they stop motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a much more important role of the coach in the motivation process, is stopping these things so the players keep their own natural motivation. And if you can do this as a coach, then you are 90% of the way. And if the players are already motivated, then you can help them a little bit, but there's much more chance to break motivation than to help it.
Yeah. In your other notes, I have read that the coaches can demotivate players, but
Yes.
my question is, hey, why should they do that?
Why do coaches do it?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. You have to ask them.
Okay. Okay, that's good. That
there are
players.
There are some. I go back to the first idea that players are, in a sense, they are just there to be told what to do. So that's a kind of traditional idea about how teams and coaches work. So I think this is it's not only in Poland. This is the way that it works in a lot of places. And coaches don't mean to demotivate players. It's not the thing that they are trying to do, but they are thinking about how to work, what they think the best way of working is, and the things that they think are important, and they don't consider the players, for example. Even something like being organized. So if the coach is organized for practice and he is on time and the practice runs smoothly, then the players are happy to come to practice and work. It doesn't even matter what is inside the practice, more or less. But if the players come to practice and the coach is 5 minutes late, and then he is writing something in his book, and then he's drinking coffee with the president, and this doesn't happen so much now, and not in Poland for sure, but if you go back 10 years, even 10 years in Poland, you can find stories of the coaches who are talking with people on the phone during practice or things like that. So,
can players demotivate the other guys in the team? Did you have
of course
this kind of question? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. This can happen. All the relationships between the players are really. They're really important, but they're also very kind of delicate. Delicate in the sense that they can be disrupted really easily. Players spend a lot of time together in small spaces, buses, volleyball courts, change rooms, weight training, and a lot of what they do is they are really emotional. So they are at a high level of emotion in a small space for a long time. And in the season, players will spend more time sometimes with the team than with their families.
Yeah.
So
plus large amount of testosterone in the small place.
I don't think that part's important. I mean, it does, because when you have men, they are trying to find a place in the hierarchy maybe, but in a women's team, they are still highly emotional, small space, all of those things, but maybe their problems are slightly different, but they still have the same problems, or they still have problems.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Benji's example was the best from the season, but unfortunately it was very bad because we don't want to see this kind of situations in our league. But when there is no intrinsic motivation, no money, just defeats in a row, how big chance do you have to build something good on this kind of basis?
If you have no intrinsic motivation and you are losing, you have no chance. You can change the coach 7 times, but nothing will change.
Okay, so how do you think? What did Kuba Bednaruk do in Benjin that they have played till the end, maybe not a Lions, but they kept fighting? Yeah?
I don't know, but he did it well. I know what I do in the same circumstance, because obviously when I went to Ushchembia, the players were not getting paid and the club was close to bankruptcy, and we could still play, and I know how I work in that moment, which is what we already talked about. But Kuba for sure does it a little bit different from me, because he's a different person.
Mm-hmm. How can you keep the players motivated through the whole season?
You try to win as many games as possible, because this is the easiest thing, and you try to avoid the things that demotivate players. So you have to push them to work, you have to push them to win and prepare, but you have to not be an asshole, not still be organized, still have logical way of working, not change your mind every day, because this is another thing that people hate, is when the boss changes their mind every day. Those are the main things, but really winning matches makes the team happy.
We'll end this part with what is the biggest motivation these days
for people?
For people, I mean that the people. We know exactly that. We know exactly that people stay at home. They got really enough. So, is there any statement that you want to say to the fans of volleyball?
I can't really answer. I don't know what motivates people to do stuff. I mean, that's everybody is different, and even in a volleyball team, you have 14 guys or 15 guys, and everyone has a different motivation. So, I think maybe people are motivated to be happy. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so end of second part.